I started the discipleship group a little over a year ago, and I can safely say now that I have fundamentally transformed as a person because of it. My outlook on the world is not one of a worldly lens, but one with an eternal lens, seeing things in the perspective of eternity and the things spiritually first, rather than the things that I can immediately see and the things that immediately impact me and my surroundings. And not only that, but I have grown to I have a deeper understanding of who God is, and I also understand and beginning to understand what kind of traps can take me away from these understandings or cause me to kind of backslide. And it gives me a greater awareness of these things, of my own weaknesses. A little over a year ago, I was in a completely different place. I was very bitter and disillusioned with church, but I hadn't necessarily given up on God yet. And I told my dad all of this, and being in a place of isolation is especially dangerous for a believer. So I would always say, I'm looking for, just like pray for more godly people to come into my life, because at the time I was hanging around with people who weren't necessarily the greatest influence, and they weren't necessarily sowing positivity, and they were actually encouraging a lot of the bad habits that I used to have. And finally, one day my dad said, well, there's this discipleship group that I'm doing with this group of guys from my church. Maybe we can start doing it together and start this small group. We can grow together in our relationship with God and also sow into each other's lives. And that sounded good to me, so there was really nothing to lose. And I was so thirsty for something different that I was willing to do anything and sow any amount of time that was needed. And really, it wasn't even that much. It's probably, to do these studies, you at most spending like 30 minutes a day doing that. But just starting off the day with those 30 minutes changed my day. It made me ready to face the things out in the world that would normally annoy me, even if these were minuscule things, or if they were like things that would genuinely bug me to my core. It gave me the strength to face those things. And being discipled by my dad has also made me grow closer to him in that relationship. Because admittedly, before, I wasn't the greatest about keeping contact with him, or really anybody. I graduated high school and left the state, and if anybody was lucky, I would contact them once a month, which is not that great. It was dishonoring looking back on it, but this gave me a chance to kind of reconnect with him in that way, and as a son, but also he is giving me the tools that I need to walk as a man now, as a 23-year-old man living in Brooklyn, New York. So, yeah, it definitely helped with our relationship. So if there's any fathers and sons considering to do this, I would definitely consider it. I think it has nothing but benefits. If you put the time into it, and you have a genuine thirst for what God has, and you don't put yourself in the way of that, and the possibilities are endless. I'm still figuring out what God has for me, but I can't wait to see what else He has.